What is up, Force fam? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be checking out the new Boba leader with Tarkintown. This deck was suggested to me by one of my Patreon supporters, and I started messing around with it, and I love this deck. I think this deck is one of the coolest new decks from Jump to Lightspeed. But before we get into today's video, please make sure to join my Patreon as we are building a great community with new deck lists almost every day. And please make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel to grow. And make sure to sign up for the 3,500 subscriber giveaway. So to get into today's list, Boba's ability, again, I'm sure most of you are familiar, but it says when you deal non-combat damage, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. So that can be used with things like Daring Raid, Open Fire, Planetary Bombardment. Then we have tons of indirect damage coming in from our units. We have First Order Stormtrooper, Allegiant General Pride, the TIE Bomber, which has been one of the sweetest additions that I've built into this list. The Droid Missile Platform when it dies, Fetch Fire Spray, Dengar as a pilot, IG because you're doing damage, Ruthless Raider, Darth Vader as a pilot, Aggression for damage, Devastator. Just about everything in this deck, I think, except for like Bo-Katan, is doing some kind of damage. So Tarkintown, believe it or not, because of how much damage that we're doing here, and all the pinging and the units that we have that are doing damage, a lot of times we don't have to use Tarkintown right away. We can, but we don't need to. So to my next point, what I want to show you is kind of the core cards of this list. Okay, so these are what I consider the core cards for the Boba leader, with testing it with both Blue and Tarkintown. I think these are the cards that I am building each of those decks around to start off with. I think First Order Stormtrooper is amazing in here. You're swinging in for 3, 4 essentially if there's no units on board. That's crazy value. Even when it dies, you're doing 2 indirect damage, which sets up your Tarkintown, which goes to their base if there's no units. Just incredible. The 3 Daring Raids we're using to push damage alongside Planetary Bombardment, as well as set up our Tarkintowns early, as well as finish off units that are taking indirect damage. Kylo's TIE Silencer is just a very good turn 1 play. It's also a great target for our pilots of Darth Vader and Dengar. It trades favorably with a lot of space units. TIE Bomber is actually one of our best starts in this deck, is to play TIE Bomber. Darth Vader onto a TIE Bomber is our absolute best start. Dengar on TIE Bomber is no slouch, though, as you'll probably see in some of these games, because you're doing 5 indirect damage every time you attack in, which is a lot of indirect damage for your opponent to kind of figure out. And again, what I love about indirect damage is the mental exhaustion, and our opponents are constantly having to figure out where to put their damage and then hope that they're not setting themselves up for knockouts. They know that we have Tarkintown coming, but they don't know what we have in our hand. So all the units that I'm using in here have synergy with one another. So like Droid Missile Platform, it's a very solid space unit, and we want to have a good amount of space units in here because we want to be able to pilot Boba onto one of those units on curve so that we can do 4 more damage with Boba, which goes along with everything that we're doing in this deck, which is just ping, ping, ping. And then Boba can spread out those 4 damage, which can just finish off lots of things that we've been doing indirect damage with, which is why the TIE Bomber on the Vader is so good. TIE Dagger is so good. What makes that card great for me, I mean, obviously in here with all the indirect damage, it's setting up knockouts while continuing to build our board. It's similar to the Imperial Interceptor, but the Imperial Interceptor is limited by the fact that it can only do damage to a space unit, whereas Dagger can do damage to anything, and that's really, really powerful in here. So, and again, it's a space unit, so it's another solid target for Boba because Boba would become a 6/6. So that, and it's cheap, like 3 resources to be able to do 2 damage, which oftentimes is a piece of removal, is very, very strong. The Droid Missile Platform, obviously the 3 indirect damage when it dies. Dengar is one of our solid pilots that adds more indirect damage. Dengar is going to be get that extra indirect damage on a Fett's Fire Spray or on the IG-2000. The IG-2000 comes in and can do 1 damage to up to 3 units, which oftentimes sets up knockouts, sets up Tarkintown, sets up Daring Raid or Dagger knockouts, or just finishes things off. Darth Vader is an incredible pilot. Like I said, that's our best line of play for turn 2 is to put that on a TIE Bomber because it makes the TIE Bomber a 3/7 that does 3 indirect damage, and then we get to do 1 damage to a unit. So obviously, if there's no units on board, we're doing 7 damage to their base because of Boba Fett's ability. If there is a damage on board and they take the indirect damage to one of their units, and if we're able to kill it, finish it off with Vader, then we can ping something else or do 1 damage to their base. So just a lot of synergy there. Fett's Fire Spray, of course, is one of our best Boba Fett targets. It comes in and does 2 indirect damage. It becomes an 8/8 with Boba as a pilot. And then it's, if there's no units on board, it's swinging it for 10 damage. So that's just one of our, best targets. Such a fun card as well. Ruthless Raider is one of our capital ships that has synergy with planetary bombardment. It's doing 2 damage to their base, putting pressure. It's finishing off units that have been damaged. When it comes into play or when it's defeated, which is awesome. Planetary bombardment obviously will hit for 13 in indirect damage. Get the Ruthless Raider out, which is insane. And that's one of our best finishers in the deck to close things out, especially because we're constantly clearing the way, getting rid of units, or damaging them at the very least, so they can't take that as much planetary bombardment damage. And then Devastator, of course, is one of our more mid-range, finishers. We have the 3rd copy in the sideboard, and then all that indirect damage can now be directed towards their base. So that's just one of our best finishers. So that's kind of the core for any Boba build, like where I start off with these cards. Then, if we switch to blue, and I'll show you like the differences between blue and red here next. So with red, we're going to add in like the Allegiant General Pride because it gives us more of an aggressive undertone. In the blue, we're going to use the Director Krennic because we can play when defeated units out for 1 cost cheaper, and it's a shielded unit, which is nice. So we can play like the Droid Missile Platform for 2. We can play Ruthless Raider for 5. The Onyx. Yeah, the Onyx is another one we can cheat out for 1 resource with Krennic, and that it's a way for us to gain Subtle Life. And then obviously with blue, we're playing like Power of the Dark Side and No Glory. And then in red, we're playing Aggression and Open Fire as kind of our 3 and 4 resource pieces of removal. Aggression in the red version obviously lets us to do some really, really awesome things like do 4 damage or destroy their upgrades or ready a unit that has 3 or less power. And oddly enough, on curve, we can, with the TIE Bomber Vader, can attack in on curve, and then on their 4 resource turn, we can attack in with it and then play Aggression, do 4 damage to something, to clear it out, and then ready the TIE Bomber again because it'll still only have 3 power. So that's one of our insane starts where we can like win the game by like 4 to 5 resources potentially. Just on that, I mean, I think we still win on 5, but that's just a very, very strong start. Is TIE Bomber into Vader into Aggression. Obviously, Aggression is a way for us to draw cards too, and more of those mid-range matchups. And right now I prefer the Tarkintown version. I really, really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun playing that deck. No Glory only results is such a good piece of removal for the blue version. And then in the blue version, you're adding in things like Top Target and Vigilance as well. But you kind of see like the difference in the 2 lists. But I just wanted to share like these core cards. I think they're, this build of indirect damage units has just felt insanely good, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I encourage you to build around the same core cards. It's so much fun. Like, I love decks where you're damaging things and you have cards that can finish things off in your hand that are also units, and then your opponent has to figure out where they want to put the damage, and then you're placing the damage. Spreading damage is just one of the funnest ways to play a card game because it requires like planning ahead, setting up knockouts, which is so much fun, especially like using that tie bomber Vader thing is so much fun when you curve into like an IG or a dagger and just like finish off their units, especially IG if they're like trying to keep all their units alive with like 1 HP left, and then you just play IG and finish everything off, like kill 3 units in one turn or with one play. That's insane, and that's really hard to come back from. That's such a good card. Uh, and then things like Ruthless Raider, Planetary Bombardment. This is such a fun deck. But yeah, so back to the main list and what we're going to be playing today. So the three first order stormtroopers, the 3 daring raids are both great starts. To set up pressure. You can play stormtrooper alongside daring raid to immediately Tarkintown something. A legion is a good start as well, especially if we're able to claim the initiative, so we can start doing that indirect damage immediately. And then it has that really cool ability of when indirect damage is dealt, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade to the unit that it was dealt to. So that sometimes comes into play. Bo-Katan is just a solid 3/3 on the ground on turn 1 potentially. Although it's not my preferred start. I would prefer, Kylo's TIE Silencer and TIE Bomber would be my first choices, especially if we have a Dengar or Vader for turn 2. But, those cards are all good. So, I mean, we definitely have a lot of early pressure, and the early pressure on that top row is essentially to set up the early Tarkintown and start, putting our opponent under pressure, because we can be very aggressive in here, but, we want to, a lot of times we're just trying to set up those knockouts with our TIE daggers, even as early as turn 2, or our IGs on turn 3, just to kind of, target things if we're not using Tarkintown. We're going to use Tarkintown when it makes sense, but a lot of times, because of how much pinging we're doing, we don't need to use Tarkintown for a while, which is really, really cool. Yeah, so like I said, Kylo's TIE Silencer and TIE Bomber are going to be our best 2 starts. TIE Bomber with Vader is our very best start, and you're going to see that in the first game that I showcase and how strong that can be. A couple Force Chokes in the main, one on the side, just for those. Because we're pinging so many things, Force Choke gets even better because it's just a lot easier to take out strong things on the ground. And because we're not as strong on the ground, it's a way for us to kind of, deal with those threats, and we're bringing in that third Force Choke against ground heavy decks, more like Sabine and things like that. Droid Missile Platform is like I said, it's just a 4-powered space unit. It's strong. It's a good target for Boba Fett. It makes it a 8/6, which is really good. And then when it dies, it's doing 3 indirect, 4 indirect if you include Boba's ability. The dagger, like I said, that is just one of my favorite cards in here. It fits in here so nicely, just to be able to. A lot of times, I mean, look at it. It's like it's a daring raid, right, to a unit, and instead of using daring raid, we can use dagger to finish something off, or on the 4 resource turn, we can do dagger plus daring raid to finish off 2 things, or set up target towns, whatever. So it's just a way to continue to put more units on the board while removing units from our opponent's board, which is really sweet. A couple open fires in the main, one in the side. Something really cool with open fire, of course, is like if we have a Devastator out, we can do 4 damage to a unit, and then we can do 1 damage to their base, because we can choose where our indirect damage goes from Boba's ability, which is sweet. And that does come into play in one of the games today, and it actually mattered a lot in a crazy game. The Dengar, again, that's another really good card for our TIE Bomber. It's also good on like Fett's Fire Spray, the Underworld unit, or even the IG, because we're doing 3 indirect damage when it's attached to an Underworld unit. But, I mean, even on the Kylo's TIE Silencer, it makes it a 4/4 in turn 2 alongside like a Daring Raid or a First Order Stormtrooper, so it just helps us to put a lot of pressure early on. I rarely use it as a ground unit in here. I'm mostly focused in space. Some games I end up having like a Vader on a space unit, a Dengar on a space unit, and Boba on a space unit, and then I just, it's too much for my opponent. Fett's Fire Spray, of course, is very strong in here because if we have the Boba Fett leader, it does 2 indirect damage, so essentially 3 with Boba Fett's ability when you play it. So just coming into play and doing 3 damage to their base if there's no units on board, which, like I said, that happens sometimes because we're removing everything. If they don't immediately play a unit, then that indirect damage is going to their face. And sometimes our opponents will try to just put it on their base because they don't want us to keep removing their units once they kind of see what we're doing here. But then again, that allows us to put even more pressure on them quickly if they don't want to deal with that. So either way, it's a win for us. Fett's Fire Spray, of course, is one of our best Boba Fett targets. IG, I've spoken about a lot, but that is such a sweet card in here with all the pinging that we're doing early on, just to kind of set up those knockouts. Especially if we go like Vader or Dengar on turn 2 onto a space unit, then IG can come in and just clean things up and set up other knockouts, like can set up like aggression knockouts or open fire knockouts or dagger knockouts for the following turn. Just really sweet. Or even sets up Boba Fett flip knockouts. So just so much fun, man. Aggression, again, a lot of times I'm using it to deal the 4 damage plus either readying a unit or defeating upgrades. And then against more mid-range opponents, a lot of times I'm just drawing cards and getting card advantage, which is really sweet. So that's amazing, and it's just so great to see aggression being played more now. It's such a good card. Vader is absolutely nuts. You can have some turns where you can kill 2 units in a turn with a Vader attack because you're doing the indirect damage, let's say with the TIE Bomber, and then you can ping with the Vader, and if it kills a unit, you can then ping again and kill another unit. So that's just so much fun to use. Occasionally, I'll drop it as a 7/7 because it is such a strong unit on 6 resources if our space units have been removed. Ruthless Raider, of course, is one of our capital ships. We use it as kind of one of our closers. It's also a good target for Boba Fett in certain situations as it becomes a 8/10, which is crazy. And then it sets up our planetary bombardment for the 12 or 13 damage for the Boba ability, which is one of our main win cons if our space units haven't run our opponent over already. And then Devastator is one of our late game or mid range opponent win cons. Those games that we're playing, like games where decks have restore, or maybe they just have good amounts of removal or a lot of sentinels. Devastator can come in and really blow them out of the water. But a lot of times we don't end up getting to the Devastator turn because the game is over by like 6 resource turn most of the time. Sideboard, still figuring that out. Hotshot Maneuver is a card I kind of like because of all the pinging that we're doing. It says choose a friendly unit for each of the attack abilities. Do 2 damage to a different enemy unit than attack with the chosen unit. So, I mean, we have a decent amount of on-attack units here, like with First Order Stormtrooper, TIE Bomber, Fett's Fire Spray. I'm not sure if that works with the Dengar pilot, but I think it will. Same with the Darth Vader pilot. So it has some decent synergy in here, and be able to set up more knockouts seems pretty cool. The 3rd copy of Force Choke, a couple of Disabling Fang Fighter to have more upgrade removal, a 3rd copy of Open Fire, a couple of Twin Pod Cloud Car. I'm not sure about that yet, but I like the fact that it has Restore, and it can be a good Boba target to make it a 6/6 with Restore 2. Seems solid against more aggressive opponents. 1 copy of Imperial Interceptor for the space heavy decks, and that might need to be a 2nd copy because it does line up so well with what we're doing here. And then 1 copy of Unlimited Power, which is pretty cool. But that's, we're still working out the sideboard. But, let me know how you've been building the new Boba. This one has felt really good. I would equate this deck to playing very similar to the Luke Tarkintown deck that's been getting a lot of hype recently. I've been playing this more as a removal deck, and that's the way I've been choosing to play it. But I'd love to hear different ways of playing Boba that you guys have enjoyed. But let's get into a few games so I can show you how this deck works and why it's so much fun. And yeah, we need to mulligan. We know how turn 1 play. Okay, Bomber's good. Into Vader is amazing. Testing out this new deck. That's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get rid of Daring Raid and Evader. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to save the big stuff because we're playing against a big opponent. Nice. Admiral Piett is a fun one. Alright, go Bomber. See what he does. If we're able to get the Vader to stick, then we're in good shape. This is tough. I think we're going to hold on to the aggression because it lines up with our curve and get rid of one of the Ruthless Raiders, unfortunately. Please don't have an open fire. Okay, prepare for takeoff is good. Alright. The Vader is sweet for our TIE Bomber because we're essentially getting in for 6 damage. And that's what we want. We want a lot of pressure against them. Pass on that. We're not doing any damage to ourselves. Or 7 damage because we used Boba Fett's ability and he has no units. So swinging in for 7 in turn 2 is very good. IG's not bad. I think I would rather have IG than Daring Raid. So our curve is going to be either aggression or IG here. Into Ruthless Raider, into Bombardment is the plan. You can always Tarkintown a unit this turn, which absolutely, if he takes a damage there, it's not letting me do the indirect damage first. Because that's how I want to do it. Why is it not? Huh. Okay. Yeah, because it makes a difference if you do the indirect damage first and then you kill it with Vader, because then you can, if you kill the unit, then you can do 1 more damage to their base. So I'm not sure why it's not letting me do that, but that's okay. See what he does. Either way, we're going to Tarkintown because that gives them some really nice cards they can attack in. And with like next turn, they can immediately ambush in like a Ruthless Raider. So we're definitely going to get rid of that. Well, we're going to get rid of it with IG though. Yeah. Nice. Feeling pretty good so far. More pressure or open fire? So we can play aggression this turn, or Kylo plus open fire. I think we're gonna go. Mine. Okay, what does that do? Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna go swing with IG first. Okay. Go with the TIE Bomber. Again, I wish it was letting me do the indirect damage first, but what are you gonna do? Okay. Okay, so we can aggression the Piett, and then we can Tarkintown the other ship. So um, let's deal 4 damage to a unit and ready a unit with 3 or power less. And ready the TIE Bomber, and then we're going to Tarkintown the other guy, and then we're going to just destroy this game. That's a pretty incredible turn right there. That really just shows what I'm talking about with the power of this deck. Good game. Yeah, I mean that's where aggression just gets nutty, right? Do we need the? I think Force Choke is fine, but I mean at this point we have multiple ways of winning the game. Um, okay, he's played a barrage for free. Okay, so we can just play bombardment and do 9 damage to his face. So pretty nuts. Uh, yeah, so I mean that's obviously, Admiral's weakness is like we did have a very, very good start though. TIE Bomber Vader is one of our best starts. So I mean, let's not act like we didn't have one of our best starts against them. We're swinging in for 7 damage on turn 2, so that makes a big difference as far as putting pressure on our opponent, setting up knockouts. I mean, that aggression turn was amazing. That just sealed the deal because then we had a multiple ways of winning the game here. We could, flip Boba to make it a 7-8 because Boba gives it +4/+4 on the IG. We're still swinging in for 7 with the TIE Bomber. I mean, they'd have to have a Sentinel that we would take out the Sentinel with the 4 damage from Boba plus an attack, or plus the Ruthless Raider, plus the 4 damage from Boba. I mean, there's just so many ways that we could have dealt with whatever they had going on. A lot of fun when this deck works. It's so much fun. You're just pinging, 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 pinging with all your units. Again, going back to that engine with this deck, it's just everything has great synergy with one another, and it's just lining up to just remove units. So, all right, what's our hand looking like here? It's not bad. Yeah, yeah. How's it going? Trying out this new deck. Let's see. So we can go TIE Bomber. All right, we're gonna keep this hand. I think we're gonna let go of this. I mean, the Stormtrooper just, it's not doing a lot for me right now. All right, so yeah, because Stormtrooper is just gonna die. Like they can just ping it with any underworld unit. So we're kind of playing similar strategies, of course, like pinging, pinging. The difference is I don't know what he's playing now because I have not messed around with Cad Bane Tarkintown since all these new cards. I'm sure there's a few new things in there that are pretty sweet. I mean, he can Tarkintown us right away here. Yeah, which definitely stinks. It's just fine. Another IG. I don't think that's what we want. We don't have the greatest hand at the moment. Yeah. Well, at least we got him to use his Tarkintown. I mean, I think that's fine. Yeah. I'll take that. Okay. We can use IG next turn. We're gonna let Bo-Katan go. I'm not too worried about that card. Fett's Fire Sprayer seems pretty solid here as well. The difference is IG can immediately take care of Cartel. Are we that worried about Cartel? I don't know. Probably not. But it does, because he's already used Tarkintown, it does give us an ability to kind of... We can play Fett's Fire Spray next turn. And then this... Yeah. Interesting that he chose the base there. Oh, that's why he did. Didn't he? Okay. That makes sense. So we can Tarkintown and then play Fett's Fire Spray next turn. I hate that it doesn't remove, but it does set us up for a knockout, so let's just do that. You can do 2 here. It's an underworld unit, so he's gonna do 3, right? Yeah, that's fine. He could kill us now with another unit, yeah. So maybe I did that. Oh, he's already used Cad Bane's ability? Okay. Dengar. I mean, Dagger, sorry. Not Dengar. Yeah. This is interesting. So we can play Dagger to take out his cartel. I hate to not have Fet's Fire Spray as a target for Boba, though. But, ugh. I think that's the route we're going. It's just the way it works out this round is we want to use Dagger to take out his cartel because his cartel threatens to, you know. We're going to still have 2 space units in play to target with Boba. I mean, if he kills our IG, that's fine. Now there are 2 of them is very, very good find. It hurts, it hurts. But we do have... Wait, choose a unit to deal 1 damage to? Okay. Oh, that's for the underworld thing? Isn't he Yeah, he's capturing both of them, right? So TIE Bomber. Okay, this is definitely rough. Aggression does something, but we really just want the Ruthless Raider at this point because we want to have the capital ship planetary bombardment. I guess the other option is Boba plus aggression, right? To kill Cad Bane and get our units back. It doesn't feel like the worst thing ever. We're just gonna damage 4 there. I think we just use aggression and do 4 damage. And just draw a card, I guess. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he swung in with that card first. Do we want to kill this? I don't know. Probably not because he can just choose indirect damage. Okay, he took 3 there, that's fine. Okay, we're just gonna do damage to ourselves. He gets to do, what, 2 to us, right? Okay, we're just gonna do 2 here. So we don't take any to our base. Okay, we're taking 4. Okay, so that's taking 2 more damage, right? Choose a unit to do 2 damage to, that's fine. Planetary Bombardment does 8 damage here because we don't have the Ruthless Raider out yet. So we really need to do Ruthless Raider plus First Order, right? So let's do our indirect damage. This is going to be hard. It's going to be hard to catch up here. Okay. If he attacks in with... hopefully he does... Okay, he attacked in with Boba. So he's swinging in for 6 more at least. So we're swinging for 5 more. We get to 16. 18 damage. He gets to 21, and then he just claims the initiative. Doesn't feel great. I think we should almost just do this and then just claim the initiative. Okay, he didn't attack. So because he didn't attack, wait, whoop, oops, undo. That was a mistake. So we're gonna go to 16, and then 12. 12 doesn't even do anything though, because of having 2 units on board that have so much power. I mean, yeah, we have to claim the initiative here. 12 damage doesn't, yeah. Unfortunately, because he has those 2 big bodies, there's not anything I can do here. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. That was a good one. Good game. All right, playing against a similar deck again with the Vader Tarkintown. We have the Allegiant turn 1. I wish we had a space unit turn 1 so we can get rid of Devastator plus what? I guess Dengar. Everything else feels pretty important. Hmm. Okay, sure. Hmm. So they already used their Tarkintown, which is fine. I mean, we can just Daring Raid here, I think, but then we can't play anything else, which I don't really like, per se. I mean, I guess Daring Raid's... Next turn we could play Space Unit plus Daring Raid. We have to let go of an aggression here. Does that make sense? It does give us more space units, and we want to have space units because we want to have a target for Boba to pilot onto. So I think we're going to go Droid Missile. See what happens. I'm just going to take it on Tarkintown because I don't want him to have an easy way to ping us. Okay. Now that's not the worst thing ever. Dengar makes this a 5/4 in space. Still susceptible to open fire, which he probably plays. Another aggression. I already resourced aggression. I think I just want to do the dagger Daring Raid play. I'm just gonna go face again. Okay, take our 3. Let's go. We don't want to give him. Could just deal 4 damage to a unit, draw a card. It's not the worst thing ever. Okay. He's pinging our guy, that's fine. Daring Raid again, which is not bad. So we have 5 resources here. Okay, let's go ahead and Go ahead and Daring Raid. Take our 1. Tarkintown. Take our 2, okay? Swing in. Horse Lightning. Loses all abilities. Okay. So let's do Daring Raid plus Dagger to take that out. Save our Tarkintown. Okay. It's fine. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's nice. Isn't that nice? We're going to take 7 to our face here. Yeah. Do we just hit him back with 8? Go to 18. And then swing in for 6. Damage to go to 24. It's not bad. But if he has another bombardment, we just lose, right? So I guess we can get it. Well, we can do 9 actually because of Boba. So we actually just have game, which is insane. Forget about that 9 damage. Crazy, right? Good game. Yeah, I mean, planetary bombardment for 9 is nuts. So that card's just crazy. All right, we do have the bomber. Let's let go of Allegiance and Devastator. Did I? Yeah. No mulligan. Yeah, because double bomber seems good because the indirect damage is not something he wants to deal with when he's damaging his own units potentially. I hate to let go of Devastator, but it is a ways off. And it's not really what we want to see right now. We want to be heavy in space, just kind of find ways to remove units as much as possible. A Dengar on a bomber is actually pretty sweet. Definitely depends on what cards he has here. Because we're doing 5 indirect damage. Okay. Okay, we don't need Bo-Katan. I like the Boba next turn. Um, yeah, 5 indirect damage is a lot. It's cool to see this deck. Yeah, that's a card. Yeah, if he takes 2 indirect damage, we can just Tarkintown him. See what he does. Oh, okay. Uh, what? Okay. Think he misclicked. Yeah, the bomber is at face value. I was like, eh. The more you play that card, though, I love that card with Dengar or Vader. It's just nuts. Okay, what's he doing here? Is he taking? He's taking it to his base. Um, yeah, I mean we're gonna still use Boba's ability. Okay. Interesting that he went um to the unit. I guess. Yeah, I mean I guess that makes sense because the unit's gonna put him under a lot of pressure. All right, we're gonna go Fetch Fire Spray here. I think is the obvious choice to ping for 3. We have Dagger and Bomber next turn to finish things off. Okay, cool. Daring Raid is nice as well. A lot of good stuff here. Do I want the Bomber or a Daring Raid? I think I want the Daring Raid. Okay, that's a good find. Okay, so Daring Raid finishes that off, and then Dagger will finish off Bright Hope. Okay, which is disgusting. The reason I want Dagger is because I want to have 2 space units for targets for Boba next turn over the aggression. Okay, he only took 1 there. We could do 1 each with IG and then attack in with Boba. I think that's actually more effective because then we're setting up ourselves for 2 very solid targets as well as setting up Dagger for later. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. Take our 3 damage. Okay. I'll probably just do indirect to Bright Hope since it's going to die anyways, which is fine. So next turn we have... Okay. So we have Dagger plus the Boba, which is nice. Oof. Boba plus aggression is good too. What do I want more? Fetch Fire Spray or Dagger? That's tough. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna let Dagger go. Because we can play Fetch Fire Spray this turn. And then any indirect damage with Devastator in a couple turns goes straight to face if that's able to survive. So, I mean, we're probably playing. The issue is that I don't want to spend 4 resources. Why are people so impatient? On playing an aggression just to take out the Han Solo. That's tough. Okay, I guess we're gonna go there. I'll do 2 with Dagger. He attacks in. Okay. Let's just go Boba. Sure. If he upgrades it or something, then we're just going to use aggression. Okay. Okay. Um, that's an easy choice, I think. Cool. Getting for damage. Horse choke's solid here. Because it, cheating things out. Ewing reinforcement, okay. Yeah, so we have two pieces of removal this turn for whatever they get out with your Ewing. Okay, Bright Hope and Blue Leader. Blue Leader can ambush in. Bright Hope blocks us for a turn. Um, I mean, those are both good finds for him. I would imagine he's attacking in. Okay, he did that. That's odd. So 4 damage from resupply carrier does not kill us. Then we are without a ship until next turn with Devastator. Okay. 4 damage hits us for. Yeah, so we're gonna go there. This is, I mean, unfortunately, just what we have to do. Resupply carrier to our face. Okay. Aggression. Draw a card. Okay. Okay. Open fire is definitely good. All right. I'll let go of droid missile. I want to just have as many pieces of removal here as possible. Okay. 4 to the face. Okay, we're representing lethal next turn. Okay, I mean that's a card, but it doesn't do enough though because it can't. I mean, Bright Hope does enough, doesn't it? Yeah, can't really do much about that. We can kill the home one. I mean, Planetary Bombardment would be like our ideal draw. Yeah, because then we could choose where the indirect damage goes. Attacking a Bright Hope, he attacks in with home one, potentially to our Devastator. What do we want to do here? So we kill this Bright Hope. Um, I wish we had a way to do 5 damage to home one. Wait, we can do that with open fire, actually. Yeah. Why is this guy so impatient? Okay, we're gonna do open fire. I'm gonna kill home one actually because it does 5 to his home one. That's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. Great dragon. Okay. We could force choke. We could do 8 damage to ourself, which gets us to 11, and then he attacks in. But we would have lethal in multiple ways. I mean, first we're gonna attack in, right? We have to do that. We could also claim initiative and just try to find a planetary bombardment, but I think we could still do that either way, right? Um, Force Choke does 5. Dagger does 2 more. It gets it to 3 less. But we take 5 damage to our face. We go to 8. He swings in for 10. We go to 18. What's the purpose of doing that? Just to set up an easier knockout, but then he'd go to 21. I think we just have to kind of just hope for something else. Okay, 6 damage is not the greatest with the Ruthless Raider here. Because we kind of, we don't want to give him like a way to win with the initiative. So he has to have a way to deal with our Devastator first. That's his. He needs, yeah, he keeps getting back to Bright Hope, right? So we need. Okay, so what we can do here. We don't have an open fire, unfortunately. We have no indirect damage to win either. It's nice when you draw a home one every time you need one, right? So we do this. I mean, is he just gonna... Are we just claiming the initiative here and hoping for a planetary bombardment? That just feels wrong. Do... Yeah, it's not enough. It'd be really nice if we drew a planetary bombardment. Kind of gotten stalled here. He claimed the initiative, okay. So 6 damage to our face is not good. Um, so we represent lethal either way, right? So he attacks him with home 1, he kills our Devastator, gains 2 life, goes to 24. 6, 9. Take 9, go to 12. This is so difficult. Okay. Okay, I think we just have to make a move here. Go to this base with the Boba damage. Go to 27. If we go to 12, this represents multiple ways that we can swing in. Is that worth it? We have 2 capital ships. So basically, he goes to 25. He has to swing with home 1. Then we got to find a planetary bombardment or like some piece of removal plus, right? Yeah, we don't want to give him any more reasons. There's the planetary bombardment finally. Of course, it's right after Devastator dies. Is that how that's how it works, right? Been waiting for that card for so long. But I mean, it still does 12. We don't need Bo-Katan. Still doing 12 here, so that's a lot. Because the home 1's going to trade. And then it's still doing 12. So it'll do 4 damage to his face. Yeah, he has to. So if he keeps it alive, he does 7, then we do 5. So either way, it's lethal. Yeah. Yeah, does 12, 13 with Boba's ability, which is nuts. So yeah, good game. Planetary Bombardment, 2 games in a row now has saved us. I feel like if there's not 3 in here, there needs to be because it's extremely important. Yeah. I mean, he's doing 6 to our base. It's fine. Yeah, good game. It was an interesting game there. Our opponent definitely was on life support for a while, and we were just trying to find that. But what I take away from this game is that I need to have 3 of these if I don't in the main. I can't remember. I know I've been playing around with 2, but if there's not 3, there needs to be. And also, man, people don't like you to think when you're playing, do they?